Hey guys, it's Binge of the Body Whisperer. How's it going? I'm just coming to you from my bed. I'm on a trip, so been out and about. Last 3 days, I've gotten about average, I'd say 4 hours of sleep, 4.5 hours, just because it's kind of how things have happened, and ended up hanging out with a friend, and then I get up fairly early, and then actually, yeah, it's just kind of 3 nights have turned into that. And then today I'm in Bali, walking around. It's pretty intense out there. Lots of scooters, lots of cars. Just you have to be on when you're here, and that's something I've kind of noticed about. I think that's one of the reasons the appeal of coming to, especially for people from more developed countries. One of the things I think that what they get out of being in a place like this, and it's not necessarily maybe what you're thinking, but what you get is presence, because you have to be very, very present, because roads, the walkways, like if you aren't paying attention, you could fall down uh, literally like a gaping hole, like a gaping. It'd be like if a manhole cover just wasn't there in New York City or in a major city. But that's the norm here. Like you literally could just walk off the edge of something. There's just a drop off, or you could step on something. Uh, Bricks missing. It's very uneven ground. So inadvertently, what ends up happening is you have to become super focused. And at first, when you start kind of like looking at people and watching people, everybody seems pretty intense. But to a certain extent, I think that's kind of the wiring going on. Everybody has to concentrate. It's not. You can tell the difference between somebody who's newly in Bali, or someone who's been there for quite a few, maybe a weeks, or a week or days or multiple, because there's just a difference in how they bike, how they cross the road, what they're doing. They've kind of integrated into their circuitry, into their system. And if you're new to it, you're very much like, I got to be, which is it, left or right? What side of the road am I driving on? And then there's just so much coming at you all the time. So what ends up happening is it gives you, not gives you a sense of, but it actually gives you presence. The idea that, you know, it makes you very like in the moment. So you're not thinking about stuff from the past. You're not worrying about the future. You're just trying to get through whatever you're going through. If you're crossing the street, or if you're trying to, you know, heck, even ordering food, because it's just so different. It's oh, how does this work? And then even when you look at the money, you're like, wait a minute, what? Okay, so it's 5 to 10. It takes you time. Like you have to be very much there. Whereas like in your own currency and your own thing, you're like, oh yeah, that's a 10, that's a 5, and it's like clicks automatically. So I think that's one of the things that coming to places like this can do. And I remember that happening to me, and I mean it was that way in Haiti. Anytime I've been in a country that is less developed, and just has that kind of like vibe to it. So, which I think is good, especially if you can be aware that that's the reason. That's one of the reasons. But it's also different. It's so different. It's not easier by any means, right? But then we come here and then we change it to be like, instead of just having local stuff, and now they cater to Westerners, in that sense of like there's tons of coffee shops here now. There's lots of like organic restaurants, so they're definitely catering to a type. Um, so so it's like being mindful, I guess, being mindful of that too. If you want to, if that's kind of, if you're trying to get away from kind of what your norm is and kind of like experience a different way of life, you kind of have to look for that now, even here. So what was my point with this? Yeah, presence. So with the presence, but that's something I think you can practice even at home, anywhere, is trying to just be where you are, be where you're at. Don't, if you're if you are setting a goal for yourself, the journey of that goal is the more important and is the fun part, rather than attaining once you attain the goal, then what? You're, you can continue to maintain it if it's losing weight or if it's, whatever. But I think one of the benefits and joys of doing the goals is the journey, and then also practicing letting go of feeling that anxiousness of not being there yet, if that makes sense. So letting go of the outcome, letting go of that outcome, letting go of how it should be, and showing up and doing what you can on a daily basis, to the best of your ability, and forgiving yourself for if you do have failures, or if you're not perfect, because it's impossible. So that's the other side of it, is trying to releasing regret, or worrying about. So it's like worrying about the future, regretting the past. If you can somehow find a way of quieting both of those things, and one of the ways to quiet is to focus on the now, because that's really all you have. You can set yourself goals and say, create habits to move toward, patterns. And then if you stick in those patterns, you're always going to be kind of moving in that direction, even if there's ups and downs within that. And then as far as what I like to think of when I think of if it's regret from the past, is that it does me no good, because it takes me out of being helpful, or being of service, or being here, right? So I guess maybe that, not that you're thinking, okay, I need to change others, but you can be there as what I like to think of as, how can I help this person in this situation? When I walk up to them, how can I be of service, even if that means it's if you can tell that they're in kind of a mood, it's not necessarily try and cheer them up, but just be aware of it. And don't, if you see that, if they do something, you don't necessarily have to react, because you kind of know that they're in another place. If they're in that mood, they're probably in the future. They're worrying about the future or regretting the past, so they're not really present. So you're not even dealing with someone who's present and in the moment. So just thought I would say hello. Hope you guys are well. Did a lot of walking today. I'm gonna go back out and hit the beach right now, and yeah, we'll just kind of see what the day holds. Not too far from here. There's just so many food places and things. So I'll check it out tonight. Probably try and get a good night's sleep tonight, just because I've had so few the last few, and then figure out a place tomorrow. I haven't really set anything up for tomorrow, and then I head home the next day. So I just need to find a place tomorrow to lay my head. So take care, keep moving, people. Binge of the Body Whisperer out.